Johnny, intro, go.
This is an intro.
What's up? Welcome to KJB's table prediction, Premier League table prediction. Whatever the title says, we're predicting the Premier League. We've lost Beckford, but we've improved him with Jake. Beckford's part will be tagged on at the end of the video. But we're just going to work up where we think the Premier League teams will finish this season. You can see on the right, 3 points for bang on, 1 point either side. Whoever has the most points at the end of the season wins a mystery prize.
No, it's $1,000, mate. I'm gonna win $1,000.
Nice.
Each of us are putting in. I don't know how much it works out as actually.
250 quid, no chance.
Yeah, 250. No, dollars, not quid.
Johnny, you go first. Who you got 20th and why?
I have got Forest in 20th because they're shit. They've basically lost the whole team that got them promoted. The only signing that's got any Premier League quality. Well, I suppose they've made two signings that have got Premier League quality. They've made Dean Henderson on loan and Jesse Lingard, but he hasn't played for a year. And I just don't. He played at a better side at West Ham, which made him look better than I think he probably is. And Dean Henderson had a stinker in pre-season and got subbed off after 35 minutes. So Forest are going down bottom.
I have got Bournemouth. Again, Bournemouth are just rubbish. They've not improved on the team that's brought them up. I'd think they're going to have an absolutely stinking season. I can't name a transfer that they've made that isn't from the Championship already, and I just don't think they're going to survive this season.
Fulham, because they're a fringes club, and that's it really. I've got Forest next, because I don't like them, but they're not quite up and down like Fulham.
In 19th for me, I've got Fulham. I think, again, they're just not that good. They've made better signings than Bournemouth, don't get me wrong, but
Babu.
I don't think he's good enough to stay up, and they are basically just a Norwich that wear a white kit instead of a yellow one.
And less inbred.
I went for Brentford because I don't think they're very good. I can't even think of a signing that they've made. They've lost Christian Eriksen. Yeah, Ben Mead's a decent signing, but he got relegated last season, so I don't think they're very good. I think it's going to be second season syndrome for them, and they're going to get relegated.
Fair, I'd be tempted to agree.
Fair enough.
Yeah, 18, finish off your relegation zone.
Bournemouth Pirates. Again, as echoed in what you said, Carrie, they've not signed anyone of any Premier League quality, really. I think they've made a few half-decent signings.
I've got Forest in the relegation zone, and to echo you both, they're shit. I think they've probably made the better signings out of the three clubs, and I think it's just this relegation zone's pretty much. I'd agree Brentford could be down there, but I think the difference between the Championship and the Premier League's probably a bit much for them. Yeah, they pull off some shocks in the Cup, but can they do that every game over the course of a season? No. And I think they've had too much of a squad change-up to stay up. I think it's going to imbalance. I think they'll make a few decent results against teams, but I don't think they'll last a season.
I've gone for Bournemouth.
You two have got the same.
I've gone for the newly relegated. Yeah, not newly relegated, newly promoted to then be newly relegated.
Yeah.
There we go.
All of us have got Bournemouth and Forest.
I also think it can be very tight from 15th to 20th because
that's what I'm kind of thinking.
Dross in the Prem, but I think
definitely
the experience is probably there.
There's a big gulf between the bottom 5 or 6 and then the mid pack, I guess. Right. 17th, I can't remember this. I've gone with Leeds. I think they're really teetering the last season, especially, and I think that will, they'll struggle a bit more. But with what's come up, I think they'll still survive again.
I have also gone Leeds because I think they're not very good. They've lost Calvin Phillips and Rafinha. Their source of goals. They've made a couple of decent signings, but I don't think Jesse March is that great a manager. I think they could quite easily swap places with any of the three teams below them as well. So I think they'll just about do it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got relegated.
God, for Everton. Again, they were very lucky to survive last year. They've lost Richarlison, who was looking like the only person that could score goals for them, and they lost 4-0 in a pre-season friendly to an American side, so they're shit. But they're not quite shit enough to get relegated. And my 16th, I don't even know who Everton have signed, to be honest, apart from James Tarkowski. I've gone Leeds in 16th. Again, they're okay. They're not going to set the world alight. I know they've lost Calvin Phillips, who barely played last season, and Rafinha, who was probably the only bright spark for them. But I think they've made a few decent signings, and I think they'll have enough to stay up.
16th for me is Southampton. I think I had them in the relegation zone last year, but then they went on a really good spell. But have they improved the squad this year? I don't think so. I think just signing Man City's youth players just because you've got the academy guy from Man City as your sporting director, whatever role he takes now, doesn't mean you're going to be brilliant. And although I think they're very good players for the future, for the now, are they going to be good enough? I think they'll just about be, because I think Hassan Hüttel's a decent manager, but we'll see. We'll see how they go. I reckon 16th.
Oh, Brentford. Very similar to Leeds, really. Apart from, second season syndrome. Where did you put Brentford, Johnny? 18th?
Yeah, relegation zone 19th, I think.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, 19th.
But yeah, lost Ericsson. And, second season wonder, I'm thinking. No, not wonder. Second season blunder, I should say.
Haha.
So, yeah. Okay, next up, I've got the Saints. Hassan Hüttel ball. We'll be putting it in 15th, baby.
Yeah, I've got Brentford 15th. I think, again, any team from here down to 20th can swap places easily. Second season syndrome, they haven't got Ericsson, but I think they'll just about find a way.
Saints. Southampton.
Saints.
Again, James Ward-Prowse is the definition of average. He doesn't exist unless there's a set piece. Aribo's a good player from Rangers. Oh, Hassan Hüttel's a good manager. They'll probably lose 9-0 at some point, but he'll keep them up again. 14th, I've gone Crystal Palace. They manipulate the table every year because they never seem to pick up any decent results apart from against Liverpool, but they're always safe by miles. So, yeah, I've just gone Palace there. Zaha's, again, good player. Vieira's a decent manager. He'll keep them up, I think, in 14th.
14th, I have Everton. I think they'll be a bit better than they were last season. I think a whole season under Lampard might be a bit better. They're just about starting to get active in the transfer market. But losing Richarlison, I don't see it getting any better than 14 for them. I think they've lost a huge output of goals. I don't think the winger situation's changed, but I feel like a bit more stability might be better because they went into last season having just lost Ancelotti like that. So I think they'll be a bit better, but I wouldn't say a massive improvement.
I got Everton. Excellent. Yeah, kind of what Kerry said. I think the second season, half season, I guess, or something under Lampard, I think they'll do a bit better. But also, what they've got below them in my table is a bit shitter than them. And I think Michael Keane will have an absolute, rock of a season. He will marshal that back line, and he will make sure they lose less games and draw more.
Have we ever seen Kerry and Michael Keane in the same room?
No, we haven't.
Is he going to be your player of the year?
No, not quite. No, I think there's one player that might be a bit better than him.
Just one.
Only one.
Only one.
Only
one. Only one. In 13th, I have Brighton, the Gulls, the Doves, and I'm going to be honest. Any time from this point, it's anyone's game from 14th to 10th. I think. Well, 11th.
I have got Wolves in 13th. I just don't rate Wolves. I think the whole project's stagnated. I think at the end of last season, at the start, they were really good. They carried out a load of 1-0 wins, but it was really boring football. Once it got sussed out, they couldn't score goals and they were really boring to watch. I think the whole project's stagnated a bit, and I think 13th is where they'll be this season.
I've got Fulham in 13th. And I think the signings that they've made, again, they're not massively spent money like they normally have. I think they've been a bit smarter in the transfer market. Signing Mbabu from Wolfsburg and Paulinho from Lisbon. That Paulinho is apparently already too good for Fulham. So, and Mitro is bound to score goals this season. You don't score 43 goals just in the league and then have a stinker the next season. So he's going to score a few more. He probably won't be top scorer, but he'll score a few more than he has done in previous Premier League seasons. And I think he's going to have enough to fire them up to 13th. And 12th, I've got Harry Potter's uncle, side Brighton. He's going to perform a few spells. Going to do some wizardry with Brighton. Spend that Cucurella money well. And, keep them in a mid-table scrap with Undav banging the goals.
12th, I've got Villa. I think they started off transfer window well when they got Carlos in from Sevilla. Is it Carlos?
Yeah, Diego Carlos.
Yeah, Diego Carlos, yeah. I think they started off really well in the transfer window, but since then, I've not noticed them sign anyone or do anything else. I don't think Gerrard came in and had the effect that everyone thought they were, because they finished, was it 14th in the end last season?
I couldn't tell you. I'm going to have a quick Google.
Yeah, have a quick fact check for me. But I know they didn't do as well as people thought they would after they spent all the Grealish money, and I don't think they'll do as well again. But
Like Coutinho.
oh,
Or was he on
14th,
loan?
yeah.
Ah,
Coutinho's permanent now.
yeah.
They started off really well, but I just don't think they've got the quality to sustain a whole season. I think, again, a few decent results against some bigger teams, but other than that, pretty mid-table. It's not a bad thing.
So I've got Palace in 12th. Again, interchangeable with like Brighton, Everton, maybe Southampton if I'm feeling generous, and then I think interchangeable with 11th as well. Unless Benteke gives us his potential, what Liverpool wanted from him. I'm not seeing anything from.
Mateta's a good striker.
So is
Shout out Edouard and Eze. Come on. Anyway, yeah, 12th. So 11th for me is a little something like this. Villa. I just think they're one of them teams, you know, mid-table, high and mid-table, you know, just on the fringes of the top 10. I think Gerrard, not done as great as people would have hoped in the Villa camp last season. And yeah, Coutinho is not what he used to be, has been established for a while. I think John McGinn will have a good season, but that's it.
11th Newcastle. I think the whole take over and become a huge team that's going to fight for titles is going to take them a bit longer than they think. They had a real good bounce last season, but I don't think they're as impressive as everyone else made them out to be. 11th. Progress, because they should have got relegated last season, but to establish yourself and then keep building, I think this project will take time, but it'll get legs eventually.
I've gone Villa. Again, sort of a mid-table side. Gerrard probably didn't have the desired effect to start with. Coutinho will, in a full season in a Villa kit, will do quite well. Danny Dings, if he stays fit, is going to bag goals, the same as Ollie Watkins. Wendy is a good player. Diego Carlos is a good player. Dino is a good player. I think they'll finish mid-table. 10th, slap bang mid-table. I've gone Wolves. Decent side again. They just always finish around there, don't they? Apart from, where did they finish last season actually? Well, I think they're okay. C Senor getting back scoring the goals. Don't concede that many, so it'll be a lot of 0-0s and 1-0 wins, 1-0 losses, I think. But yeah, I think they'll be alright to finish mid-table-ish.
10th, I have Palace. I think I back them a bit more than you two, but I think they've got quite a good, exciting squad. You've got Elise, Eze, Zaha, Edouard, who's going to be his second season in the Prem's, probably going to play a bit better. I think they're a bit more exciting than you guys are probably thinking for them, but 10th, mid-table, good result for Palace.
10th, Newcastle. The takeover. Yes, it's not going to, grow as quickly as people would think in the Newcastle camp. But when Trips is back as well, is he back now?
Yeah, I think he's back.
Yeah. And they had a really good run at the end of last season, unfortunately beating us in the last minute. And I think, they'll carry on from there, but not quite the finished article. That might take a few seasons. 9th place, I have the Wolves, Jorge Mendes FC. They're just that team. They're just, I'm a bit more optimistic about them than I think was Kerry. Put them down in 13th. Yeah, it was boring last season. They got a load of 1-0ers. But yeah, I think they're just that team that can just pull out a lot of results. They've got a fairly solid squad, even though it is mostly Portuguese. Yeah, they always manage around this area of the table, and that's where I think they're going to stay.
In 9th for me, I've gone Brighton. I think they are just the team that loves XG. And if it works and they've got a striker who wants to score goals for them, fair play. But I feel like anyone from Brighton, probably down to Villa, can swap places. I think anyone above this is probably set more for me. But I've just gone Brighton as pretty much best of the rest of the lot. I think as long as they score goals, which they should do, but they can't, we'll see.
Right, who did I go for? Newcastle, why man? Again, probably the same as Kerry just said. I think anyone from 9th to sort of 14th could quite easily change places. I think Newcastle have probably made some slightly better signings. Still got St. Max. Trips getting back fit on the free kicks. You're going to be scoring maybe 1 or 2 a month with Trips on your set pieces. And again, they're not going to be challenging the top 6. That will take a few more years, and a few more seasons of spending. 8th place, I have gone for the Irons. I'm starting to think they'll probably finish a bit higher now, probably 7th. But I'll leave them in 8th. I'll leave them in 8th. What Skamaka, decent player. They're just really well coached and drilled under David Moyes. Got some really good wingers that want to score, good holding players. They're just a very good side. And I quite like the way they play with under Moyes.
I agree, but I think I've got Leicester and West Ham the other way around to probably what you've got. I've got Leicester 8th. I think West Ham probably are a little bit better than us, but I think we're going to have a better season. I think just without European football, we probably won't pick up as many injuries. Touch wood, let's hope. Yeah, without the injuries, without European football, we've got a very good starting 11, and if that team is fit for 30 game weeks a year, I feel like we beat quite a lot of the teams in this league. So I'm backing us to be a lot better in 8th, and there probably to be a bit of a gap between 8th and 9th, probably a bit closer towards 6th and 7th, but I think the other teams probably just outdo us.
Yeah, ditto you, Kerry. I've got Leicester in 8th. Foxes are in 8th. However, I think this will be a better 8th than last season's 8th that we somehow managed. We'll have a high quality due to the more fitness, touch wood, as Kerry said. And also, no European football, which hopefully keep the injuries away. So, that's me for Leicester. And then, yes, I've got, I believe it's West Ham in 7th. I think they are more solid than us at the moment. That reflected last season. And I think that will still remain the same.
Yeah, I've got West Ham in 7th as well, but to be honest, looking at it, they've got Conference League football, haven't they?
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a change. I'm going to put Leicester in 7th and West Ham in 8th. Because I've only just remembered they've got European football. But I think that's how close this will be. Just for fitness from those few games will probably put us above West Ham then. But I think it's going to be very tight between the two teams. I think they're both very evenly matched in quality. I will say West Ham signings look quite good. Like Johnny said, they're really well coached, really well drilled. But I think the European nights might just take the toll in the battle with us.
In 7th, I've got Man City. No, I'm joking. I've got Leicester. If our team stays fit, we could easily be challenging for the top 6. But it's a massive if, and we did pick up a couple of injuries on yesterday. It will be at the time of recording. Hopefully Barnes and Ricky P aren't too bad. Schmeichel's probably leaving as well, so I don't think we're looking at signing a keeper. So you're stuck with sort of Danny Ward's a very good keeper, and Daniel Iverson's had 2 very good seasons at Preston, but are they first choice goalkeepers? Possibly not. So I'm stuck as ahead of West Ham as well, because obviously West Ham have got European football, but I still like how West Ham play. But I reckon without European football, we keep players fit. I think Leicester will be pushing, and I think we'll be closer than we were last season to the top 6. Sorry, I reckon Daka's going to have a breakthrough as well. 6th place, I've got Manchester United. I just personally think the worst out of the bunch. Ten Hag. It's easy to manage in the Dutch league if you're the manager of Ajax, isn't it? Because you literally just get the pick of the rest of the Dutch league. I know he's brought through some decent talents and he's made a few signings at Man U, but again, Martinez, is he going to be able to cope with the physicality of the Premier League being shorter than I am? And a centre half. He's still got Maguire and Varane, but he obviously doesn't rate them that highly. Ronaldo doesn't want to be there. Bruno sort of tailed off last season, didn't he? Don't really rate him that much, and just see what happens. We'll just see what happens, but I think Man U will finish 6th.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've got Man U 6th, but I think it'll be a better 6th than the table will give them credit for. I think they might start playing with a bit of an identity. They might become that team the fans want them to be. I think Ten Hag's probably a better manager than what they've had previously, but they need to give him time. And I think he needs this bedded in season just to make sure the players know a system and can get that identity. So I think it'll be sixth, but I think it'll be a better sixth with a few good results.
Sixth for me is also Man United. I think Ten Hag won't get them, instantly playing well if he ever does. Who knows? He might be like a Jurgen Klopp. Take a bit of time, but when he gets there, he'll be there. And if they sign Frankie de Jong, that would be really nice. And they've got rid of that waste man, Paul Pogba. After doing his Pogmentary, which is peak cinema. Arsenal. They've got Gabriel Jesus now. I don't know how he will gel into them. Yeah, I think Arteta's doing a fine job for them. They had a good mid-season last season, then fell away again. And I just don't think they've got the minerals at the minute to be any higher than fifth. Them or Man United could interchange, I guess.
I agree. I've got Arsenal fifth. I think they've been very impressive in pre-season, but you take pre-season with a pinch of salt. I think they'll be better than last season, but I also think the other teams above them are probably still a bit too far away from them. But following season, maybe something different. I think just currently fifth place. Like Jake said, they stumbled a bit towards the end of the season. I think it'll be a bit similar.
I've got Chelsea in fifth. Yeah, again, they've made some decent signings. Koulibaly's a good player, but I just think they lack that striker to power them into the top four. I know they've got Timo, but in his 2 years he's been there, he's been rubbish, really. Yeah, he's not been very good. And Havertz, again, very good player, but he's not a striker. So I just think they lack that striker to push them into the top four. And they're a slightly aging team as well. I know Koulibaly, he's not young. I think he's 29 or 30. Thiago Silva, late for a footballer, probably 35. Azpilicueta getting on a bit. I know they have got some youngsters as well, like Reece James and Mason Mount. But yeah, it's sort of a strange squad. And fourth place, I have gone for Tottenham Hotspurs. Again, they're a very, very, very good side, but they always seem to struggle with injuries, which I think is going to hold them back. Kane always gets injured, which is probably why they signed Richarlison, because Richarlison doesn't start for Tottenham, if you ask me. And Bissouma's a very good signing as well, which is why I put them ahead of Chelsea. Yeah, they're a decent side. I think they still lack a little bit. Who would they play at the back? Sanchez and
Dyer.
Romero.
Yeah, Romero.
Romero's good.
He's good, but he's not world class, I'd say.
In fourth, I've got Chelsea, much for the same reasons you've got them at fifth. I think the squad's aging a bit now. The defence isn't that good. Because it's, Thiago Silva, Koulibaly and Aspie, who might be on his way out. I don't think that's very good as a defence, and I feel like they might be a slow starter, but once they get going, I feel like they'll be fine.
I got Spurs, but it kind of depends on how well their attack do. You've got Kane and Son, who are awesome together when they're both fit and firing. They've also got Kulusevski as well, who was decent last season. But at the back, I'm not the most convinced by it. It just depends on how the front players stay fit. So that's Spurs in fourth. And they could have just as easily swapped with Chelsea in third. I think they'll be distant to the two teams above like they were last season. And I think the system that they've got, teams have figured them out compared to the season before last season when they won the Champions League. And they haven't really got a striker. They couldn't do what Man City did without a striker. So I think that's going to hurt them. And Lukaku wasn't great last season, so they're not lost much there. And then Timo Werner's I don't think he's going to do any better than he has done the last couple.
I honestly hope he proves me wrong. He seems such a nice player.
He's a nice guy. Yeah, it's a good personality.
I've got Spurs in third. I feel like under Conte, the personnel in defence isn't as big an issue because it's more of a system he plays, and I think the signing of Bissouma is really good. Him and Højbjerg as a two in midfield will be very, very good. Richarlison to come in as a backup for either striker or either of the wingers. I think he's going to get them quite a few more points than he'll probably get credit for. Just coming off the bench and being a fresh option who's going to work hard. That might be what makes Everton struggle. and that's what Spurs have gained. I feel like there'll be a bit of distance, personally, between Chelsea and Spurs, but I still think the other two will be flying ahead of them.
I've gone for Arsenal. Their young players have had a season and a half to get used to the pace of the Premier League now. Saka's a very good player. Jesus has been banging in the goals for them in pre-season. He always seems to score. And whenever he played for Man City as well, the defence I think is very, very solid. Ben White and Gabriel. They've also got Saliba back as well, who had a very good season in France. Odegaard, very good player. Martinelli, if he stays fit, could be very dangerous. Again, these youngsters have all had an extra year in the Premier League to get used to the pace of it, and I think they'll be the top of the sort of four of Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, and Man U, because the other two are just clear. But yeah, I think Arsenal are going to have a very, very good season. Second place, I have gone for Liverpool. Again, they'll be pushing Man City. Well, it's pretty obvious I've gone for Man City to win it, but they'll be pushing the team to win it very close to the end again. Darwin Núñez looks an all right signing. Again, it's tricky to tell from players from leagues you don't really watch week in, week out how good he's going to be. I know he scored in the Community Shield. Obviously, they've lost Mane, which is a big miss. And I don't think Diaz is quite at Mane's level. I hope he proves me wrong, but I don't think he's quite there. Anyway, I've got Liverpool second, just because I think the team above them has just made so much better signings. So first I've gone for Man City. In my notes I've written Haaland. He's going to score so many goals for Man City this season, I think. I know it's slightly different play from Dortmund over to Man City, but I just think he's that good. Yeah, he's just that good, isn't he? And they've still got Kevin De Bruyne, who for me is the best player in the league by far. I know they've lost Sterling, but I think Foden and Grealish are going to have to step up a bit, and I think they probably will. I just think they're far too good to even think about backing anyone else. But I'll see whether any of you two have.
No, I didn't disagree. I've got Liverpool and Man City. I think Liverpool's signings are good. Núñez, good, but a bit of a risk at the sheer amount of money he's coming out. Midfield, like you said, hasn't changed. I think at times last season it looked a bit weak at the back in certain games, but they're very, very good, and I think it's going to be a very, very close title race. But I think Man City just pip them to it. I think Sterling's loss isn't going to be as badly felt when you've got the likes of Alvarez coming in, Mahrez, Foden. You're going to see a lot more minutes for those key players. Haaland up front will just be a beast and score goals. My only worry is he might get injured, but you see it at Man City all the time when he didn't play a striker, they can still score 5 or 6 goals a game. I think they'll do it. They might start a bit slow, but it's Man City's title for me.
Okay, 1 and 2, yeah. I've agreed with you both. I think Liverpool will be a bit more distant this season with the new signings. I think Diaz is decent, but yeah, not on Mane's level. But I think Núñez might struggle a little bit. I think he might. And Jota will do the job. And I think Firmino's not getting any younger. His output's not been amazing lately. But I think they'll be a bit more distant from Man City this season, to be honest, because Man City are something else. Consistencies on another level. And I think with Haaland, and I think he will hit the ground running, unlike Núñez. I think, they'll be just smashing a load of teams 5-0 again and again and again. I don't think they'll be touched. Hopefully that ages well. Top scorer, Haaland. Case in point what I've just said. I think he'll gel well into the Man City team. They'll provide him. Not that he needs much, providing. He has enough nous to fucking nail it in from any position. Player of the year is De Bruyne, the one who'll be giving him some of the goals and dictating the midfield. He's, you don't really have anything bad to say about him. Wants to talk a bit too much sometimes. If you know, you know. Let me talk and that. Young player of the year, it's a repeat. It's Haaland. What I've just said. In my Man City reason, in my top scorer reason, the same reason applies to the young player of the year. Full stop.
My top scorer, I have gone Harry Kane. I feel like the only issue I have with Haaland is that he's a little bit injury prone, and although I think he will bang goals in, and I know Kane is as well, I don't want to say Salah just because I don't like Liverpool that much. But I think Kane under Conte last season was very good. He was pretty shit at the start of the year, but he ended really, really well. Plus, he plays Leicester twice, so that's a guaranteed 6 goals. Player of the year is KDB. Exactly same reason as Jake. He is just the best player in the best team. I think he's going to dictate everything. With Haaland in front of him, it's going to just be another level of genius. I just hope he stays fit. And young player of the year, I reckon Saka. I think he won it last year, but I think he's just very good for Arsenal. He was their top scorer last season, can play anywhere across the front line, and I think ever since he missed that penalty at the Euros, he's gone on to prove to people that that's been put behind him and just show what he can do on the pitch. I think he'll win it again.
Phil Foden won it last year, Carrie.
Ah, fair enough then. I know Saka must have come second or something. I know he had a very good season.
Top scorer, I've gone for Haaland again. Reasons already stated. Player of the year, to echo both of you guys. Oh, I've done it differently. I've gone KDB. Again, he's just the best player in the best team. He's going to score so many. He's going to get so many assists for teammates. He's just unreal, isn't he? Really. And young player of the year, I've gone for Saka as well, Kerry. I think, as I predicted, I reckon Arsenal are going to have a good season, and I reckon he's going to be a key part of it. Scoring goals, getting assists, being that player that can beat a man, and turn defences around. And I think he's going to have a really, really good season.
Viewers, these are our tables. Johnny's, mine, Jake's. Beckford's bit will be stapled on the end because he couldn't make a recording for this one. If you have any disagreements with us, let us know down in the comments. I'm sure you will, and we'll have some arguments in there if you want. Start on us.
Let us know
a few scraps.
Yeah, let us know why we're wrong as well, please, because I think we've gave some sound reasoning, but it's always quite fun to read comments, see what other people think, and I'm happy to be proved wrong by anyone on this list.
Right, hello and welcome. Obviously, you're hearing my predictions afterwards. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm going to be doing my Premier League table predictions today, and we're going to get everything bang on. I think we won. I actually won this last year. I mean, everyone had an absolute stinker, but I think I got the most points last year, which was brilliant. And I'm going to do the same again this year. So, without further ado, let's start off with who is going to finish rock bottom of the Premier League, and this will be Fulham. Obviously, they did quite well in the Championship last season, but Mitrovic has been there, done it before, performed well in the Championship, and then he's been absolutely terrible. And I think Fulham are just such a yo-yo team. They're going to finish in the bottom three. It's just whether they finish bottom or not. Moving on to position number 19, joining them in the relegation zone. Bournemouth, again, it's hard not to put the promoted teams in there, just because it's so hard to perform at a level when you're in the Premier League. And obviously it's so much different to the Championship. So joining them again, final relegation spot is going to be Brentford. Last year started off really well, beat Arsenal, but teetered towards the end of the season, and I just don't think they've got what it takes to stay in the Premier League this season. Obviously, I will come on to the third promoted team at some point. You'll have to wait and see where they come. But yeah, I think Brentford going to join them this year, going to go back down, and then struggle to come back up the year after just because of the size of the club and the funding and whatnot. But yeah, that's the end of my relegation zone. Let's go on to see who's going to be safe from relegation this year, in my opinion. And it's going to be Southampton. They're going to be down there, whether they finish 18th or whether they stay up, they're going to be down there. So I think it's a pretty safe option to put, as they're not going to finish. I don't think they're going to finish bottom two, but they'll finish 16th, 17th, or 18th. 16th is going to be Brighton. Again, another club that is going to be down there. They've not, I mean, to be honest, we're in August and I've not really looked at who's signing who. All I've looked at is who Leicester haven't signed and who they're losing. So yeah, with Brighton, again, just going to be down there. Not very good sides. They'll pick up a few points, but they're not going to do anything special, let's put it that way. 15th is going to be Forest. I didn't know where to put them. Obviously, coming towards the end of last season, they were so strong. And I think if they had their current manager at the first few games of the season, they would have won the championship. So, and obviously with the signing of Lingard as well, it'd be interesting to see how they do. I think they're going to be safe, and I think they're going to surprise a few teams this year. But I think 15th is probably the highest they're going to finish. Obviously Sheffield United showed that they could do it. Nottingham Forest, more attacking side, which might benefit them in some games, but then in some games against the bigger clubs, it's going to sting them. As obviously most clubs park the bus against better teams in the Premier League, which is why it's getting a bit boring recently. 14th, Aston Villa. Again, nothing really that special. I don't think they're going to have as good a year as they did last year. I don't even know where they finished last year. Again, this is just me not paying attention. But I've put Villa in 14th. It's not really much else to say about that one. 13th, Everton. Pretty shocking season last season. I feel like they'll get back onto how they have been in recent years. But again, not really challenging for the top 10 or European places yet. They've still got some rebuilding to do. Right, 12, Leeds. Again, they have lost Calvin Phillips, so maybe I am putting them a bit too high this year. And Patrick Bamford's obviously the most inconsistent striker I think we've ever seen. But solid team nonetheless, and they picked up some really good wins last year. They might do some business towards the end of the transfer window and into the first couple of weeks of the season, so we'll have to see. But yeah, Leeds 12th, 11th, Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace are a surprise. Like, they're a surprising one sometimes. I think they will do reasonably well this year. Again, not challenging, but kind of being in and around the top 10 because they've just got such a deep, consistent side. Number 10, now getting into the business end of the Premier League. I've put Wolves, captain Portugal. Yeah, Wolves, not really much to say about them, to be honest. I don't even know who they've signed. Obviously, Jimenez is going to be back this year in full form, so you'd hope that increase Wolves' obviously goal scoring. And yeah, that's number 10, Wolves. Nothing much else, to be honest. Number 9, Newcastle. Obviously, they are going to do some business towards the end of this window, I reckon, anyway, because they've got money to burn, and they're just going to look at strengthening. And I think they will do that. Also, not having many players that go to the World Cup in December is going to be a massive factor this year, with the likes of Newcastle and Palace. Obviously, Wolves, all their players go over and play for Portugal. But yeah, with Newcastle, I think they are going to do very well in the winter months, when obviously a lot of players that are going to the World Cup and returning will be either injured or tired and need some rest. So yeah, that moves us on to number 8. This is the first position outside of the European places, and I've put Leicester City. Obviously, I want to put us higher. I want to say that we're going to be in the fighting for Europe again this year, but obviously recently we've lost Schmeichel. Hopefully we can hold on to Maddison for Fana, but we really need to get some signings in, because Vardy's not going to feature as much this year. I don't think Daka or Iheanacho can do the business. Losing Schmeichel, we need to get another keeper in. But if we can keep everyone, maybe a winger, and we should be okay. So yeah, 8th, 7th for Leicester, I think, which you can probably guess who's going to be just above them. It's going to be West Ham. West Ham's so consistent, and they just seem to be getting stronger and stronger with the players that they've got. Obviously, they're keeping Jarrett Bowen as well, and he was one of the best players in the Premier League last season. So yeah, definitely. Right, this is obviously where it's going to get controversial because it's the top 6. People will put teams in different positions. 6th, Man U. Lost Ronaldo, lost Pogba. They're in dire straits, I think. Obviously, they've had a pretty good pre-season, but it's pre-season. You can see in that game where they beat Liverpool that Liverpool were not defending to Liverpool's standard, which is why they won 4-0. I just don't think they're going to have the consistency throughout the season to be able to compete at the top with everyone else. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Man U. I just don't think they've got it this year. They're obviously going to finish inside the top 6, but it's going to be 6th. 5th, just outside the Champions League places, I've gone with Spurs. Now, this one was really difficult, because Spurs were obviously so strong last year, and with Son being on such a high, they could obviously probably even challenge for top 4 this year, but I think signings around them have been so significant that I just don't I think they're going to be close to top 4, but I think there's going to be a gap between the 5th and 4th position this year. 4th, I've gone with Arsenal. Arsenal made some pretty decent signings. Obviously, with Jesus coming in, it's massive, and they've got that out-and-out striker that they know is going to score goals. Obviously, losing Thomas Partey for being a prick, and I hope he gets everything he deserves. Thomas Partey, just to put that one out there. I think Arsenal are going to be good this year. And 4th place back into the Champions League places. I think they'll be majorly happy with that. 3rd, the big 3. I've gone with Chelsea. Because a lot of people, I think, could knock off Chelsea this year. But with the signing of Koulibaly and Sterling, I think they're going to be an absolute force. Their strike force is now very scary with having Havertz, Pulisic and Sterling. Still got world-class Kante. Still got best player in the world, Jorginho. So, they're still going to be very strong. Obviously, Rudiger's a huge miss. And it'll be interesting to see whether Koulibaly can live up to that same reputation as Rudiger. But, top 3. Definitely. And obviously, the top 2 is going to be Man City and Liverpool. But it's just who finishes where. And I think this year, again, Man City are going to win it. Liverpool losing Mane, as much as he is getting old and getting on his career, is a massive miss. Hopefully, Diaz at the minute can't finish as well as Mane. So hopefully, in the coming years, Mane struggled the same when he went to Liverpool with finishing. But Diaz, if he can start finishing, it'll be incredible. But I think it's just going to be hard this year for players going to the World Cup and obviously still trying to perform at the highest level. And that is the reason that I've put Man City at the top, because they've got 2 full-strength teams that could probably win the league. And with obviously the World Cup being this year, they're going to be able to rotate like you wouldn't believe. And they're going to, like they do every year, they've got 2 world-class players in each position, and they're going to be able to rotate every game and still win games and still win in those difficult periods, such as like the January time, and just grind out results. And obviously with the amount of goals they score, if it comes down to goal difference, they're going to be winning. That is my Premier League table. I'm going to move now onto the top goal scorers and young player of the year. Top goal scorer, I think, even though it's his first season, it's going to be Haaland. I just think with the amount of goals that Man City score, I think he's going to be up there. Man City haven't really had a goal scorer since Aguero getting in the top 3 consistently of Golden Boots. But I think this year, yes, he missed a couple of chances in the Community Shield. But if they keep feeding him into that position, if they give him 3 of those chances a game, he's going to be scoring at least 1 going forward. So that's why I put Haaland there. Right, player of the year, Kevin De Bruyne. It's got to be. He's, in my opinion, the best player in the Premier League. And I think if he has a consistent season where he doesn't get injured, I think there's just no question on who it's going to be. And it has to be him. Moving on to Young Player of the Year. I think he qualifies. And if he does get a Golden Boot on his first season in the Premier League, it's going to be Erling Haaland. He's got the best song out of everyone in the Premier League. And I think if he wins the Golden Boot, De Bruyne wins Player of the Year, and Man City win the FA Cup and win the league, then Erling Haaland is going to be winning all the awards. That's the end of my predictions. Hopefully Leicester have a great season. Can't see it, but even if we finish 8th, it's a good season. We're still in the Premier League, and we can still keep building and looking for European football. But let me know in the comment section what you think of my predictions, Kerry's, Johnny's, and Jake's predictions. Who do you think is going to win this $1,000? That we can obviously spend at any high street stores in the UK. Peace.